The 2.1 billion scandal, the secret no one inside the Watchtower saw coming. What if your place of worship, the one you built, maintained, painted, was secret sold away without your knowledge, and the man disappears in the maze of offshore accounts? If you are new here, welcome to Tell Me Dr. K, a channel that is a nightmare to manipulative religious leaders. If you crave for deep dives like this one, subscribe and smash the notice bell for more. Now, this is not fiction. This is the real story behind the Watchtower 2030 plan. A transformation worth billions that is rewriting the future of the organization. In this investigation, we uncover the empire behind the faith, how properties vanished, shell companies surfaced, and why insiders believe that something darker is happening before 2030 arrives. This is the 2.1 billion scandal, what the Watchtower's 2030 plan is hiding. And the numbers, they speak for themselves. For over a decade, billions have quietly shifted under the Watchtower's control. In part 3 of the JW 2030 Plan series, we expose the real numbers. Over 2.1 billion US dollars in assets from sold kingdom halls, offshore companies in Ireland, and a massive real estate liquidation in New York and UK. This investigation follows the money, revealing how a global religious organization transformed into a corporate powerhouse, while thousands of congregations were merged, dissolved, or sold. First, the UK takeover. In 2023, the Watchtower UK branch office executed one of the largest property mergers in history. 1,275 local congregations absorbed in a corporate body. Their combined value, £222 million overnight. No congregation votes, no public notice, just a signed form and a new name, the Kingdom Hall Trust. What was once a local community-owned and volunteer built became part of a financial machinery controlled by the governing body in Warwick, New York, hundreds of miles away. Brooklyn $1 billion exit. Between 2013 and 2017, the Watchtower sold off its New York empire, some of the most valuable real estate in Brooklyn. One complex, $375 million US dollars. Another $340 million US dollars. And when you bring all the properties together, the governing body cashed in more than $1 billion US dollars. Some sources even claim that they cashed in over $2 billion. They told followers it was a move to modernize, but records show something else. A strategic cash out, feeding a financial network tied to the Watchtower Corporation across multiple countries. The Island Shell Companies. Then came the Island Connection. In 2024, 3 new companies appeared from nowhere, all linked to the Watchtower Irish branch. Mina Assets Management, Mina Treasury Services, and Lipta Payment Solutions. All 3 using biblical languages, which are not common today. And unless you search, you might not even know that the names come from the Bible. Each tied to the same address, the Watchtower House, Wicklow. They claim to manage financial assets and payment services. No congregation was told, no explanation was given. Why create financial entity in tax-friendly jurisdiction? The answer points to one thing: control. Now, I have done a video about the Watchtower's financial services companies in Ireland, where I've discussed the reasons and why Ireland. Here is the clip. They told millions, don't save, don't plan for the future. The end is near. While their followers waited for Armageddon, their leaders were quietly building a financial empire in Ireland. Today we are exposing a damning scandal in the Watchtower history. One hidden in plain sight, buried in Irish corporate records. By the end of this investigation, you will not see the Watchtower Society the same again. Why? You will see why a religion that preaches the end of the world invested billions for its own future.
And the Watchtower under consideration today was entitled, "Your Deliverance is Getting Near." And I'm sure you, like me, rejoice in the hope. You rejoice to think about the blessings that will come right after the Great Tribulation and Armageddon. How encouraging to know that the world, which to many seems out of control, is soon nearing its end. The grand finale is close. How close? Well, we all recall the stirring concluding talk at this year's regional convention. It summed it up in one word: imminent.
Kingdom wars aren't yours. You thought kingdom wars belonged to your congregation. You were wrong. After majors, the trust owns the title, not you. And when the hall closes, the proceeds go straight to the Watchtower organization itself. Your donations built an empire that no longer needs its builders. 2030 plan exposed. Follow the timeline, the majors, the shell companies. It all aligns perfectly with what the insiders are calling the 2030 plan, a long-term contraction strategy. Fewer congregations, fewer halls, more centralized cash. By 2030, the Watchtower Society may own less property, but hold more power and liquidity than ever before. It's not about growth anymore. It's about survival or consolidation. The legal battles and spending. Behind the curtain, millions of dollars are bleeding in legal fees and settlements. A 35 million case in Montana, a 40 million US dollars in California, decades of alleged cover-ups, now draining the organization war chest. It is reported that there are many settlements that have been done in secrecy, with victims' families signing non-disclosure agreements, never to be known about forever. Just last month, the Watchtower has been sued for 100 million US dollars in damages. Here is the clip. Today we are breaking down the case of Stella Christine Gomez de Souza's versus the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. A lawsuit seeking not less than 100 million US dollars in damages. And more importantly, what this case could mean for the future of the Watchtower Society itself. Is this the beginning of the end? According to the verified federal complaint, Stella alleges that beginning at the age 12, she was repeatedly abused over the course of nearly a year by a ranking Jehovah's Witnesses official, Circuit Overseer Angelo Reviazzo, a man described in the filing as a senior minister entrusted with supervising multiple congregations. As lawsuits pile up, transparency disappears. Charitable spending remains minimum. Executive pay undisclosed. The faithful donate more and see less. Here is a clip from a video claiming that an accountant uncovered secret expenditures for the governing body, which resulted in him leaving the organization. Here is the clip.
For the first 10 years, I never questioned anything. I saw the numbers, I saw the transfers, I saw the investments, but everything seemed to make sense within the narrative they had taught me. Of course, the organization needed to invest money to guarantee its future sustainability. Of course, there were significant administrative expenses to coordinate a global work. Of course, not everything could be transparent because we lived in a hostile world full of enemies who would love to use financial information to attack the organization. I believed this with the same certainty with which I believed the sun would rise the next day. But something began to change gradually after I completed 15 years at Bethel. Perhaps it was age bringing some perspective that youth does not allow. Perhaps it was the accumulated fatigue of living under such strict rules without ever having a moment truly my own. Or perhaps it was simply the fact that I spent so much time looking at those numbers that I began to see patterns I wasn't supposed to see. I started noticing small discrepancies, things that could be easily explained as typos or confusion in reports, but which appeared frequently enough to plant a seed of doubt that would grow slowly over the next few years. There were bank accounts listed only by numbers, without institution names, without a description of purpose. There were regular transfers to companies that did not appear in any official registry of the organization, amounts ranging between $50,000 and $500,000, going out every month as a fixed expense that no one ever mentioned in the accounts reports to the congregation elders. There were investments in stocks of companies that produced armaments, tobacco, and alcohol, exactly the same industries the organization publicly condemned as part of Satan's system of things that would be destroyed at Armageddon. I didn't speak about this to anyone at first. Who could I question without seeming like an apostate?
The Warwick Fortress. And then there's Warwick, the Watchtower billion-dollar fortress in upstate New York, built from the Brooklyn profits. It's a marvel of engineering and secrecy, a compound for leadership, while local halls are shattered around the world. This isn't centralization, it is consolidation. The final form of the alleged 2030 plan. I'll leave a link at the end. The Watchtower's transformation is nearly complete. A smaller region with fewer followers, but far more wealth. Faith restructured into finance. Worship turned into assets. They said it was God's plan, but maybe it was always the 2030 plan. The 2.1 billion scandal. What the Watchtower 2030 plan is really hiding. For you to understand the composite of this 2.1 billion US dollars, for those of you who keep on saying, show us the figures, where is this coming from? See the breakdowns on the screen, showing the $2.1 billion breakdown. The truth is no longer hidden. Share this video. Demand transparency. The next chapter begins now. If you have enjoyed this breakdown that cuts through the noise, like, subscribe, and smash the notice bell for more. To watch the video discussing the Watchtower shell companies in Ireland, click on this link. If you missed part 1 of this episode, click on this link.